Hello, everyone, and welcome to Your Daily Detroit, sharing what to know and where to go in Southeast Michigan. It is Thursday, April 10th, 2025. I'm Jer Stays coming to you from our table at Tech Town, and to my left is none other than Mr. Friday himself, Devon O'Reilly. How are you, sir?
I am good, Jer. It's almost Friday. If you're hearing this, I can still be Mr. Friday, no matter what. We're easing into the weekend, right?
We're easing into the weekend. You still own Friday, like without a doubt. Friday is fully yours.
I think most people listen to this show on a Friday, no matter what. But if you're listening to it on a Thursday, hey, it's just Friday Eve, so you're almost there.
I see that you brought some stuff.
I did. I brought some. I always. I mean, for those of you who you don't watch, or I try to always bring in. If Jared doesn't have coffee for our record, I try to find some coffee for us. Usually I'm more of like a Red Hook because it's on my way. Today I took a little bit different route here, and I stopped at 320 Coffee and Creamery on Cass Avenue there. It's kind of hidden. I guess you could say it's on campus though, so I feel like it's definitely like a student population from Wayne State goes there. I had passed it before. Have you been?
Actually, funnily enough, I was out on Saturday covering the protest, and I stopped by for a cookie and like a cold brew.
Nice. Okay.
So very, a lot of symbiosis there. Also, interestingly enough, there is another location in the Detroit Shipping Company.
Oh, that's
like a mile away.
That's
it's
the same one, isn't it?
It's the same one. It's 320 Coffee and Creamery.
Interesting, because they also do the things with like the ice cream, like the Sub-Zero, like the 320. The 320 is
It's
a
like a
reference to
negative-
how cold.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a reference to how cold the liquid nitrogen gets to do like the frozen ice cream. I wasn't even thinking frozen ice cream when I stopped there. I just saw that they had coffee, and they're very much a coffee shop. I wouldn't say like, oh, it's an ice cream shop that kind of does coffee. They do full. They could do. I got a red eye. You got a cold brew. Like they can make anything. So. Full service coffee shop, delightful. They were very friendly inside. Felt like a very neighborhood coffee shop. It definitely felt like student friendly. Like I felt like that was your vibe with students. And of course, it's right there, on Cass, just off of Warren. So
Yeah, on that same block, you've got what, Ema. You've got like a bunch of other things. The Potato Place, which is an absurd. I mean, if there is anything that is a student focused restaurant, it is one where you can have a gigantic baked potato for cheap,
that is quite a concept.
So where have you been?
Yeah, so I for anyone who listened to last episode, we talked about I had been to the Four Vagabonds, which was the new cocktail bar, you might want to call it, in the Dearborn Inn Hotel. Dearborn Inn Hotel is something I have been very excited about for quite a while now. It is finally open. And so I had to satiate more of my appetite for the Dearborn Inn. And this past weekend, I checked out their farm-to-table restaurant, Clara's Table. So that's the full-service breakfast, lunch, and dinner restaurant in the Dearborn Inn. That's kind of their flagship restaurant, Clara being Henry Ford's wife. She was very much a gardener, very much someone who enjoyed nature, grew a lot of things. And so that's kind of the concept behind the farm-to-table space. It's beautiful inside. It's a big, big open space. It does have a bar. It has, like I said, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can get your favorites, anything from seafood to prime rib to steak to salads, sandwiches, kind of a little bit of everything. It's definitely still early. Like you go there, you definitely feel like, all right, the staff is still, kind of working things out a little bit, but they couldn't have been friendlier. Anything we didn't see that we wanted, they were able to accommodate. So go in there, understand that they're just kind of in that opening phase. I think the staff is still kind of getting trained, but they were super nice. The food was really well done. I know they brought in a chef from somewhere else. So I had a great meal, a great dinner. It could be a special occasion place if you're doing that. It could be a brunch place if you found yourself at Greenfield Village, Greenfield Village is opening this weekend, Jer.
I am so excited about that. I am a big history nerd, of course. So that's the kind of place where I can just go and vanish. Like I shut off my phone and literally detox in the past, if you will.
It's pretty cool. So for all those folks who may be kind of celebrating or looking forward to going to Greenfield Village this season, maybe think about Dearborn Inn. You can do it on the front end and have breakfast and then go to the village. You can have it on the back end and have dinner afterwards. So it's a great addition, and I will continue to be a frequent guest of this place.
What was the thing that you liked the most as far as the food goes?
Yeah, so they had a red snapper dish that I thought was done really well. I enjoy seafood when it's done well, and they did a really good job with the snapper and then some kind of local root vegetables and like a really, really light kind of sauce that I really, really enjoyed. Their cheese plate was very diverse. They had different cheeses from France and and Spain and England. So that was pretty cool. Cocktail was quite choice. They do have a cocktail menu there separate from Vagabond, so that was also very good. So I really enjoyed it, and I'll be back.
So I have a question for you.
Okay, Jer.
Do you believe in superstition?
I kind of do. If you made me, I am one of those people like let's not tempt fate is what I like to say. Like
Okay.
let's knock on wood because why not knock on wood when you can, you know?
So do you not go underneath ladders?
No, I'm not that specific about the breaking mirrors ladders thing, but it's like one of those things where let's not tempt fate. If there's something you can do to increase your mental chances of something happening, I like to try and do it. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. So I heard about this story and I wanted to share it with you because we are fully into tiger season now. And apparently back in 1984, the Tigers made history, of course, by winning the World Series. But after that same year, there was like a hand-painted sign in the bar at Nemo's, okay? And it was like, Nemo's Saloon, ground round, very like hand-painted, but also 80s, before and after the game. Anyway, this sign was stolen. It would mysteriously disappeared, they say. It was stolen, and it's been like this superstition that the sign's been gone, and, the team can't win. Anyway, the sign has been returned after 41 years. There is a sign under the poster that's been replaced in the window on Michigan Avenue, and it reads, "The Tigers had just beaten the San Diego Padres 5-2 to take a 3-1 lead in the 1984 World Series. Alan Trammell had just hit 2 home runs that day at Tiger Stadium. All the Tiger fans in the area of Michigan and Trumbull were ready to celebrate in anticipation of becoming the world champions of baseball. The sign was removed from the front window of Nemo's on that day, October 13th, 1984. The Tigers have never won a World Series since 1984, the year this sign was removed from Nemo's. I hope it has not been a jinx." So, with the sign returning, are we getting a World Series?
This seems a little contrived. I'm just going to be honest, Jared. It seems a little contrived. This is not the Billy Goat curse. The Babe Ruth curse with the Red Sox. I mean, sure, it's certainly not like no one else has heard about this. So I get it's a fun little thing. I'm not sure it is a level of superstition that's going to like raise my hopes at all.
I mean, I'll be honest, until I saw that one special, I didn't really know that much about the curse of Bobby Lane, with the Lions.
But now they talk about that a lot. That's supposedly a thing. But I mean, the Tigers have gotten to a World Series. It's not like the Lions that were just decrepit, just god awful franchise. Like the Tigers have been good. I have seen World Series with my own 2 eyes in my lifetime. So it's not like the Tigers have been terrible, and they're good this year. So hey, anything's possible. If this is what it takes, though, Jerry, if this is what it takes, fine. If they win the World Series this year, I will go before the Nemo sign and get down on my knees and thank it, because then maybe that's the reason. But we shall see.
We're going to talk about a couple of local development restaurant stories in a minute. But first, we do need to circle back to the kind of uncertainty that has been with the tariffs and the automotive industry and everything else that happened over this week. If people don't know, and you probably do know, there is a 90-day pause put on most tariffs. Meanwhile, China has a very high tariff, over 100%. But key in this is a number of automotive tariffs are still in place. A number of analysts have said that regardless of the situation, we're going to see smaller profit sharing checks for union workers. We're going to see some other impacts on the industry. Devon, I think it's important to note that although there have been a pause, there still will be more tariffs, and the auto industry is still kind of open to a lot of issues with this and cost issues.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, the damage has been done. You kind of can't put the genie back in the bottle, so to speak, to use some more phrases. The fact that these keep going back and forth, just taking them off, I don't think is going to do a ton. It'll do something in the short term, which you saw yesterday with I think a $2,600 jump in the stock market. As we're sitting here today in the morning, we're down almost 1,000. The Dow's down almost 1,000, so we're back to back dipping again. This is just buckle up. We're in for a roller coaster ride because the market likes certainty. Even if the certainty is bad, even if it is certain that things are going to be bad, that is some certainty. So the market can kind of account for that, correct for that in their market. What they hate is volatility. And that's literally what we're living in is volatility. from day to day, sunrise to sunset to the next sunrise, we have no idea what type of tariffs or decrees are going to come out that are going to shake the markets. And I think we are nowhere near the end of this, and we're going to continue to see this constant fluctuation until there's some assurance that we're kind of settled into whatever this is going to be. If it's going to be 10%, 15%, if we're just going to keep railing China with tariffs, at least we need to know what that's going to be before there's going to be any kind of stability in the market.
And I think it is difficult to cover because it feels like a seesaw.
Mm-hmm.
One way, this way. And the impacts are very large. And it does seem like the people who have money, they've all got the president's cell phone number. They can reach that guy. And it seems like at some point, especially when it came with the bond markets,
I was going to say
that really tipped people over.
And listener Adam was very astute in that. He pointed out in our Discord.
Yes.
I heard it first from our Discord where Adam pointed out about the bond markets being a big tell and that kind of being very ominous. And then I saw on CNN yesterday them talking about, Trump saw the bond markets, that was getting shaky. That's a real bad indicator. And so that might have been what tripped him up and made him kind of change course. So yeah, it was looking really bad.
And I think key with this is the understanding that automotive supply chains and everything to do with automotive takes a long time to move. Even this 90-day pause, it doesn't really give you the certainty you need to deploy these things. There's just so much misinformation online about how all of this works right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of maddening because to me, this is basic table stakes to know this, but I have learned that I have to do a mother may I step back every single time that we talk about it because so many people might be meeting this for the first time and not knowing how integrated all this stuff really is.
Yeah, everyone's become an amateur economist, and frankly, we haven't even seen the actual, even from the beginning of this seesaw volatility tariff BS, whatever you want to call it, we haven't even actually seen the effects of it because, like you said, there's a lag in that. So the spiking of phones, cars, produce, whatever you want to think about, you may have seen a little bit of that, but it's still going to happen. It just hasn't kicked in yet. And once it does, then you really will start to feel it. So people haven't even felt the kind of reciprocal effects of what is about to happen. No matter what, because the volatility alone, prices are going to spike.
Let's get into some local stories. We have a Monroe Blocks update, and this will be, Devon, the last time we update about the Monroe Blocks because this project in downtown Detroit has a new name. This story is from the details on this are from the Free Press, who has an update from the Downtown Detroit Partnership. I will link to all of this in the show notes. We will talk about a couple of high-level ideas. I encourage you to read the article, but we need to talk about some of the high data points to discuss what's going on. This will now be called the Development at Cadillac Square.
The development.
Construction would begin April 17th, which is just a week away on this revised plan. It has been way scaled back from an original $800 million plan and simplified into two phases. So one phase has actually been taken away out of this thing.
Surprise, it's office space.
Yes. Surprise, it's the office space. So the previously announced Cosm Detroit, which is a 70,000 square foot entertainment venue, that is going to happen. That's a shared reality dome, which is going to be...
Sounds really interesting.
I've seen video of this thing. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It is really cool. The total capacity is 1,500 people, including the lounge, dining hall, and outdoor deck. There will be a market hall of 34,000 square feet that will have local restaurants, retail brands, and live music, which I think is great. I think that's awesome.
What I think about that is it's perfect because if you've been downtown, they've kind of been doing that with Cadillac Square. They've got the food trucks, they have like the winter market stuff. It's all been very kind of temporary. What this signals to me is like, oh wow, those food trucks in Cadillac Square, those little winter markets, that worked. Let's actually build, a shed style market for all this. So that's really cool. I feel like now we're creating some permanency with the food trucks and with the Cadillac Square shops. Maybe we won't do the whole in the future, those little kind of one-off shops. So just go into a big shed and all this is there right there for you.
See, I kind of want to see both. I would like to see the shed be all year and then seasonally have even more stuff.
Oh, yeah, you might get that.
I'm all for the +1 on this, okay? And I think this is great because there is such a dearth of small spaces. When I say small, less than 1,000 square feet, if you go downtown, there's very few spaces where you can actually stick retail. Many of those buildings don't have spaces in the bottom of them for that kind of retail stuff. So this creates something, and the market hall concept is something that's been really popular. And I think this will do better than some of the other things that have been tried downtown with, say, remember there was that food hall that was over in the
financial district.
Yeah, that wasn't.
Well, this is prime territory, right in Campus Martius, as we say. Literally downtown Detroit, block by block, it changes. Like that place was way too far away. Campus Martius does get traffic, does get people going down there.
I got into a pretty heated discussion with somebody who was saying, "Oh, no hall can work downtown because that one place didn't work."
Very different.
And I think that they're just like that 320 Coffee and Creamery. There are different markets if you are in the Detroit Shipping Company versus when you are at Warren and Cass.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that. It may only be like a mile away, but you are serving two different markets because so much of this is tourism driven. So much of this is visitors. You've got people that gets in the second phase of this that will break ground in October of 2026 with up to 280 housing units, 42,000 square foot of retail space, and a parking structure that will be somewhere between 950 and 1,100 spaces. So this will be another kind of like mini hub where you can drive in, go enjoy things, but then also kind of walk around downtown and do different things. I have a lot of thoughts about this. I really wish there would be more apartments with this. I feel like this is good. I think there are good things about it, but also I'm like, this also could be more in life.
2 years to 280 isn't enough, you're saying. You probably could have gone more to 400 plus.
In my mind, to get the kind of density you need.
I'm agreeing with you, yes.
I think you need to think bigger, but I also know right now the economics are really hard because so we're talking about the tariffs. We're talking about building construction materials. Who knows?
Yeah.
What the cost of these things are going to be. And a lot of these plans nationally are going to drive up housing construction costs.
Maybe it gets amended. You don't know. I mean, by the time that you start this in 2026, I know it seems like not that long, but, things change a lot. Maybe we do get more than 280 units because I would like to see that because as we're talking about this, the original renderings of Monroe Blocks had several high-rise towers, if people can remember that. And they actually have some renderings in the article here of the original plans. And there were several high-rise buildings, which obviously this is the center of downtown. That's appropriate. These second renderings, the Cosm is it's not gonna be very tall. It's not a tall building. It's just, maybe 5 to 7 stories, I would estimate. And then 280 units and a parking garage. I wonder if they do the parking garage underneath. But either way, 280 units is going to be about 10-ish stories. I mean, we're not talking about a 400-foot tower at any point. So they are definitely going a little lower rise, which I know fans of the show probably don't appreciate as much. Of course, I love to see high rise, but it is what it is, I guess, right?
The original renderings of Monroe Blocks, do you remember those?
Yeah, well, God, they're burned in my brain.
They're so
That's
cool.
my bread and butter.
They were really cool, like really great design. And I feel like all we've done is kind of ratcheted down the design with each iteration.
But do you know what? I want people to level set a little bit because when you first saw the Monroe Block designs, how many years ago, the Hudson Tower hadn't even been finished. But more so, the Bedrock had not even taken on the RenCen yet. And I have to believe that this RenCen project has to be pulling manpower, investment dollars, development dollars. Like they're just taking on so much that I think the RenCen probably is directly related to not being able to do this at its same. Because think about the adjacent things that are happening, Jer. At the same time that we're doing the RenCen, they're going to be doing this Cadillac Square this development at Cadillac Square. And we talked about more apartments. Well, they would say, we got hundreds of more apartments coming at the RenCen for you in a couple years. So it's like kind of like almost an and approach.
I don't disagree with you, but I don't think that all the development should mostly be done by one company.
Yeah, well, if someone else has the money to do it, that'd be nice.
Right. Well, I would like a far healthier ecosystem where you have more people doing this. Like in a bigger situation, you have multiple people with resources able to deploy these projects. As long as we're always going to Uncle Dan, there's only going to be so much pace we have. I want to see more than that. And of course, you could say, well, District Detroit should have some things going on, and they should. But I don't think they have the resources to do it. They've been shopping that stuff for a while and we're not seeing announcements.
Yeah.
Right. So I think we're in this interesting kind of like lock-in where I'd like to see more, but I don't know how we get out of it.
I don't see us getting out of it again, not to bring back pessimistic Devon, but this isn't a bad thing. It's not a thing to be super pessimistic about. It's going to get done. if not for Dan Gilbert and Bedrock, this would not happen. This would just be a surface parking lot for almost eternity, for your lifetime. So the good news is something is happening. Yes, it's all one person, it's all one entity. But you know what? They're the only ones right now who have the money. If people listening know some, billionaire developers who want to come in and do this, by all means, please, I'll talk to them myself. But we don't have that luxury right now. And so we have to deal with what the situation is. And if development is happening, if positive momentum is continuing, that makes me happy.
I agree. A point, though, brought up on our member Discord was about transit. If we didn't necessarily talk about this much on the show, but there is word that there will be a station next to the station at Michigan Central, that these are preliminary plans to put a train station next to the station for an upcoming Chicago, Detroit, Toronto train route. And part of that would be another parking garage for people serving that and also for Corktown. And the frustration among some is we're just building garage after garage, and where is the transit? And I think this is what this tells me between that and this is that those like dreams of transit, when it comes to practically getting them done within the next few years, this tells me the developers agree with what you said last week, in that this is how it's going to be for the foreseeable future.
People don't have time to dream right now, Jer. They live in the here and now. Most people are, you could say, not living paycheck to paycheck or day to day. Most people, folks, look at the here and now. And you know what people want right now? They want to just park near the thing that they want to go to. I'm sorry. That's what they want right now. If you polled them, they'd say, I just want parking, and I think it's hard to park downtown. I think it's hard to park in Corktown. It is, I've been many times to the train station. It is very difficult to park near the train station because there's so much going on, and very difficult to park in Corktown. So people just want to park closer. And so there is definitely a demand for a parking garage, as seemingly useless as a space that is. My only caveat is I hope that these parking garages actually include like first floor retail or include some activation, maybe something on top. What I agree with listeners, I hate to see is just a parking garage for the sake of a parking garage with no other activity attached to it. So build housing on top of them, build retail underneath them. That's all at least something. If you're going to do a parking garage, do it right at least.
And a parking garage is better than a surface parking lot.
That is true. So I'm hoping this Monroe Blocks, as we're looking, we don't know all the details yet, but I'm hoping this parking garage is like underneath the residential, stacked, rather than just like it sitting there as a separate thing.
All right, let's end with a tasty story.
Oh, okay.
James Beard nominated chef Max Sussman is bringing Bev's Bagels to Core City this spring, setting up shop in the old Detroit Institute of Bagel space. Named after his grandmother, Bev's will serve organic sourdough bagels and creative sandwiches made with premium ingredients like wild smoked salmon and ethically raised meats. In a news release, they say that Sussman's signature bagels strike the ideal balance of chewiness and crispiness, but bagel sandwiches will also take center stage at the new location. The concept gained a following through Ann Arbor pop-up. So this is kind of like a Detroit import, if you will. Although I do believe Sussman is from Metro Detroit. There'll also be catering services. They plan to continue their Ann Arbor pop-ups while expanding into wholesale distribution in the future. So I think that this is an interesting one because the Detroit Institute of Bagel Space, something that people have followed through the news, but it seems like the concept honestly has kind of fizzled out. And then Core City, it's that trying to get something going in that Core City area. It's like a little bit of like a food hub where you've got a couple of restaurants. You've got Barda, I think
Puma.
Yeah.
Prince Cafe. You have the Quonset huts. Oh, what's the new, there was a cafe, the bookstore and cafe we've talked about before.
Periodicals. Yeah.
There's something else too. But that area is kind of like ready to pop. And so I think this will do well, but then again, Detroit Institute of Bagels didn't. And I like DIB. So I'm not really sure what Bev's is going to do different. I think there's a demand for it. We shall see. It sounds like they're already a successful pop-up. So they have some built-in customer base. I'm all for more bagels, love more bagel options. So I will welcome this for sure.
I have an unpopular opinion.
Okay.
I don't think DIB was as good as James Oliver that succeeded it in Corktown. I think that although I know that there was some drama around it, I don't want to get into it because I don't know all the details. There was a different product. That product was not as good, in my opinion, as a bagel consumer. And I didn't find myself going back to DIB. I found myself going to James Oliver far more, not to make it like a versus argument. And if they're going to do something with this and have bagel sandwiches and really set themselves apart, I think it's important that like they knock it out of the park on this one, because when you are in Core City, and I know there are residents there, I don't live like I could drive there in like 2 minutes. Okay. But it's not like you got a ton of walkable residents nearby.
No, it's more of a pass through.
You have to be so good that you're going to draw people in order to make enough money to survive. So you've got to be like Barda and Puma, a destination.
And yes, and can I add to that, Jer? Because I experienced this today. I would advise them strongly, keep those hours very broad. Because when people are passing through, they want to know that they can stop in. I drove right through Core City today to get to the studio, and I wasn't sure what might have been open as I was looking for coffee. If I knew that this place was open, I mean, no, it's not yet, but if I knew like, oh, Bev's is there, let me just hop into Bev's and grab coffee. This is where I would have got coffee today because I passed right by it. But I don't know, like, is Prince Cafe open? I'm not sure. There's Vesper Bookshop and Cafe that opened up right in that area too. Like, keep your hours broad, because when people are happening to be in the area or passing by, it's good. It helps business if you're open and you're able to serve them, rather than kind of having these like limited hours that keep you closed most of the time.
And broad and also consistent. I mean, if you do have to limit your hours, be very consistent about it, because
for sure,
irregular hours will kill you.
Yeah, if you're serving bagels and you're not open till like 10 a.m., that's going to be a problem. Like, you want bagels like 7, like bagel time is like 7 to 10 a.m., right? That's what I'm saying. Bagel time is 7 to 10 a.m. for the most part.
That reminds me of that video game Burger Time.
Burger time's anytime, but bagel time, 7 to 10 a.m.
I've had a burger at every hour, I think.
I agree, yes.
Sometimes you wake up after a couple and you're like, well, it's a burger. It was left over from last night. There you go.
You throw an egg on it, it's brunch.
I like how you think. Well, that is it for today's Daily Detroit. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for listening throughout the week. We really appreciate you. Thank you to our members on Patreon, patreon.com/Daily Detroit. Local media requires local support to survive, and we have a great conversation. Also, by the way, we have a studio open house happening next Saturday, not this Saturday, but next Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Find the link, Daily Detroit on Eventbrite. I'll put a link in the show notes. Already 2/3 of the tickets are sold out. So if you're listening to this, the tickets are free. The studio passes are free. We're going to have a great conversation. These Saturday morning get-togethers are really popular, so we decided to bring them back. I'm excited to have people into the studio and talk all things Detroit. So with that, I'm Jer Stays.
I'm Devon O'Reilly.
Thank you so much for listening. Remember that you are somebody. We'll see you around Detroit.